Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another Monday Morning Art Talk. I'm Steven Silver, character designer and teacher, dedicated to helping you learn about the art industry and living up to your potential. Whippy! All right, welcome to another Monday Morning Art Talk. So before we get started, just if you go to my website down below in Irvine, October 19th, I am going to be doing a full day workshop. If you're interested, you can check it out and read all about it there and learn about what the workshops are about. I think you really benefit and really enjoy it, so feel free. So I got a special treat for you guys today. I was going through just a bunch of those little cassette tapes that, you know, when we used to film on those cameras, when you'd go and actually buy a video camera and you'd put in that little disc and that little tape and you'd stick it in there. I now need to go take it and get everything transferred so that I can save it, because it's getting hard for me to watch some of the videos. I'm unable to watch them. But you know, we're so used to using the phones now. We can record everything. It's really what a evolution in time, you know, we've experienced just even with camera technology. But what you're about to see, I have just a little very short clip. The clip that I made is part of a tape that I made when I was 22 years old. I was going traveling around the world. One of my older brothers said, "Hey, I'm going to go backpacking around the world." And I thought, wow, that sounds awesome. You know, he said, "Do you want to go too?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, I said, "How long?" He said, "Probably about 8 months." And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, okay, cool, let's do it. So there I was, 22 years old. And what you're going to see, some of the footage. And I made a videotape. It's very cheesy, but I ended up, there's no editing software or anything like that. And I stuck in a cassette tape that I was just playing some music that I had put together from a soundtrack. I like soundtracks, so that's the music that's in the background. And I made almost like a 45 to an hour long video, farewell video, because I was going to go backpacking around the world with my brother. We were, this first time really that I was doing something to this extreme. And just having a backpack, traveling backpack, right? Just the rucksack with all my stuff that was in it, but there was very little, a couple of t-shirts, a pair of jeans, just bare minimum, a sweater, a first aid kit. And we were going to be leaving the following day on this trip. And really I was 22 years old, so leaving home, so to speak, for the first time. I'd already left home when I was 18 years old. I was living in an apartment and doing all that stuff. And I'd come back from time to time. But this was like really just being gone. And there was no cell phones back then, remember? There was no internet. There was no like researching all these places and these things, and I couldn't just call home. And so whatever country we were in, that was it. We had a calling card, but in most countries there was no phones that we could really access. And we really just went to just a lot of amazing countries. I just went all over the place. We were in Egypt and Israel and Thailand and Fiji and Malaysia and China and Hong Kong and a bunch of places. Went and stayed in villages where we were completely just out in the boondocks. We were sleeping on rooftops. We were sleeping on park benches. It was wild, and I am so glad and grateful that I did it in my life, because at the end of the day, I came back from that experience with a whole new set of way of living. Really, you can't even imagine, when you're living so comfortably, so to speak, and you got your house and you got your car and you got your comfort and you got your grocery store and you got your toilets that flush and all these other things. Then you go to some of these places and there's no running water. There's no, I'm staying in some villages. There's no toilets. There's no flushing toilets. There's none of these things. Dealing with all the bed bugs, in certain places I dealt with, and being held up at gunpoint, and just these different things that sort of happen, and these experiences that you come back, and I had such a new appreciation for life. I did. I had such an appreciation for life to where I embrace everything. It's like nothing's a big deal to me anymore. It hasn't been for years, since I was 22 years old. I'm now 47. And it's just kind of like, man, do you realize, maybe some of the problems you have are just first world problems. The things you're bitching and moaning and griping about, they're first world problems. Go live out in some third world countries. Go do that for a while. Go see how they are living, especially back in, what year was this? This was 25 years ago, right? So I can't do math. 47. I was 22 years old then. So, many, many years ago, a different world. And I was making this tape, this farewell tape, because I didn't know, in all honesty, if I was going to return. I mean, there was a part of me that was really terrified, and I was really scared, and I was really stepping out of my comfort zone at that time. And it was a frightening thing. I was leaving my friends. I was leaving my job. I was drawing caricatures at the time, and I was just sort of like leaving everything. And because I was undecided in what I even wanted to do really in my life. Again, I was 22. I just wasn't sure. It was just, I wanted to be an artist, but I didn't know really what. I was doing the caricatures, and I thought that's what I was going to do. I'm going to set up concession stands. I'm going to do parties. I'm going to do all these things. I'm going to turn off the air conditioning here. And so now I'm moving away from all of these things and just taking whatever savings I had. And at that time, so I went traveling around the world for 8 months on a budget of, I think it was only around at the time I had $3,500, something like that. That was to pay for the trip, the tickets, the everything. We were staying in hostels. That's why sometimes we never slept in a place, because we couldn't afford it, or we didn't want to use the money for that. Luckily, I would sometimes go to some touristy sort of places and maybe try to do some caricatures for people, and I was able to make a little bit of money doing that. But the whole point of this, what I'm going to share with you, again, it's a very small clip, but you get to see me when I was 22 years old. But I was nervous and scared, and I was just really just releasing myself from the current world I was living in, and really challenging myself and stepping out of my comfort zone. And because I stepped out of my comfort zone, the end result was a whole new world experience, a whole new revelation, a whole new appreciation for life, and facing my fears. And after that experience, I never had any more fears. My biggest fear in life was not making it as an artist, to be honest with you. That was my fear. Like, what if I don't make it? What if this doesn't work out? What if? All these what ifs. And doing that and coming back and realizing, you know what? If all went horribly wrong, and having that experience, I knew that I had enough family, I had enough friends, I had enough people that I could crash on the couch with for a while to get me back up to where I needed to be, if that was the case. But it was really stepping out of my comfort zone. And that's what just this little clip that you're going to see was really all about, was that, and the importance of doing that and stepping out of mother's nest. Because you gotta at some point just take on the challenges that life's gonna give you, and it'll make you a stronger person. It'll help you grow. It won't make you feel like you have to be so dependent on other people your whole life, because you don't want that. You don't want to be dependent on other people your whole life. It's just not gonna be a life that's going to be your cause. And what you have to do in your life is you have to forge your own path. And that's the real thing to try to think about is, I'm going down this path. And I can either choose to walk down someone else's pre-cut path and just follow what they tell me and everything that they say. Otherwise, I can try to do it myself and try to find my own route and try to, hack away any obstacles that are in front of me, that are my obstacles that I have to face. And when I say I'm talking about you guys, when you're referring to yourself of what you have to go through, the obstacles you're going to come across, the challenges you're going to come across, but just know that these are important steps and they're for a purpose and they're for a reason why you have to kind of do these things, and it's going to be uncomfortable. So try, if you feel that you're not necessarily progressing in your life or things aren't changing or you're not happy in a certain situation, well, try to think of things you can change. I'm not advocating you go travel, backpack for 8 months around the world. You know, I went to 14 different countries. Today, not only would it be easier to do and navigate in the computer and set everything up and call people at any time, which would have been awesome to be able to have that, but it was lonely because I just had my brother. And again, there were times where we just couldn't speak to anyone that we knew and family for a long time, for weeks. But we got to meet people, which was great. You meet different travelers and backpackers and you hear their stories, and it's just fascinating, just fascinating stuff. And you hear just horror stories of what has happened to people along their travels or certain things that have happened. But I just kind of want to share with you that this clip, a little of what I realize now, that was my very first art talk. I would show you the whole thing, but it wouldn't make sense to anyone. And a lot of it sort of like gets personal. I'm mentioning people's names and they wouldn't have any, meaning to you guys. But I realized, wow, that was my very first art talk, 22 years old, staring into a video camera, just sort of giving my testimony, saying my goodbyes to everyone, just in case I never came back if something horrific happened to me on that travel, because in my mind, I thought that something could have. Again, where were we going to research? There was nothing to research. We went to a travel agent and said, we want to travel, do this travel. And they told us where to go. And then we just go. I remember being on some planes, which just, there was stuff leaking in them and just thinking, oh my God, this is it. Going down, but I was on planes, trains, automobiles, rickshaws, just, boots, not boots, little boats. I was staying in a village out in Thailand, and I ate an elephant out there, and don't get alarmed, the elephant died. It was an 90-year-old elephant that died. And the village people, they're not going to let that go to waste, so they turned it into food. So I got to, try some elephant. It was very tough and very, very salty. So I hope to never necessarily eat it again unless it died and it needed to be used. But again, it's a fascinating experience, fascinating journey I had in my life. And that the clip that you're about to see is just me just explaining a little bit about me being afraid and me just stepping out of my comfort zone. And I would offer that if you're in a place where you feel hopeless or helpless, and not saying that I was at that point, but if you're feeling like you just need change or you want to do something, and that's where I was feeling that. I was just feeling like I don't really know what I want to do for the rest of my life. So I'm going to do this because I can. And there's nothing, I'm not married, I don't have kids, I don't have a mortgage, I didn't have any responsibilities. And I would advise you, if you're a person who doesn't have any responsibilities right now in your life, so to speak, and you're just renting a place, you could give up your rent, you could sell your car, you could drop it off at your parents' house or whatever you want to do, but there's some sort of challenge, take some sort of risk in your life, do something that's going to put you out of your comfort zone, and especially if you've got a gut feeling towards it and you're just realizing that you need some sort of change, well, do it. That way you don't have any regrets. I will never have that regret in my life ever. I got the greatest experience that I could have ever had in my life. And that was backpacking around the world and seeing the world as a whole different being. So a whole different thing, a whole different breathing, living thing, walking, hitchhiking, going to glaciers, just seeing the world for what it is and just being like blown away and realizing that, how lucky, if I'm talking to people who are living in America, how fortunate we are here in any first world country for that matter. How fortunate we are to have what we have and not take those things for granted is very, very important. All right. So step out of your comfort zone wherever you can. And hey, maybe one of your comfort zones are, I'm scared to go to a Steven Silver workshop. Well, don't be. You can go to one on October 19th in Irvine. All right. Thanks for watching, guys, and listening, and enjoy the clip. And thanks again to all my Patreon supporters. I appreciate you guys and all you guys that kind of are listening all the time to this, and that it's helping guide you along your journey in some way. All right. Make it a great week. Stay tuned for the clip.
And this is fun because I get to sit here and talk, and no one's in the house right now, which makes it easy just to talk. Probably rambling on here, none of it's rehearsed, so that's why it's all jumbling. Look back on it when I'm old and look at this, and I'm scared right now inside. There is a fear, just getting up and going into the unknown. I know what's there in a sense, but I don't, because it's not going to be, I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. I'm not going to be in my same old comfort zone that I've been in for 22 years under mother's nest. And it's just fascinating to think that, why is it that we depend on family so much, and parents, mothers, fathers so much, when and mothers especially, who are always there, and I don't think anyone loves you or will hold you for good and bad as much as your mother does. But what you do is, mothers in the wild, mothers nursing their baby chicks in nests, and mothers, they only do that for a while and they let them go, they'll never see them again. It's the same with any kind of animal. They're born, and that's it, and farewell. Within a few weeks they're out of their sight. With cubs, they're only with their parents for so long and they're out of there. Why is it that we have to depend and look to our parents so much for support throughout everything? It's a good thing, definitely a good thing, just gives you support. I shall see you all again sometime, and I shall look back at this again, and I hope this tape still exists when I am 60 years old, so I can look back at it. And I hope my wife is sitting here by my side watching it with me, and my family and my dog, and just looking at it and going, boy, was he a good looking guy. I should have met him earlier. Well, it's too bad you didn't. We're married now and you're stuck with me. There's nothing you can do about it. So just bear with me in that sense, and make sure the dog's due is picked up and everything. But my future wife, I love you very much, and my future kids, I love you very much, and I'm gonna have a dog, and I love you very much. So that's it. That's it. This is all odd and weird, but that's fine. Okay. Farewell.
To subscribe to my mailing list and stay updated on future workshops and events, please go to my contact at silvertunes.com and simply hit join mailing list. Until the next time, make it a great week, and thank you for listening.